And I feel like this is like one of your best poems. Like, it's insane. I'm really pumped.
I'm really pumped too. We're talking about thirsty. It's interesting because I don't know if it's interesting, but it was a vulnerable one. It was one of the most vulnerable poems that I wrote. And it's about, oh man, the cycle of addiction and to sobriety and to being present with life. And I really wanted to capture the whole journey in a poem, which was maybe a bit of a challenge that I set out for myself, because it's not just about one part of it. It's moving through it all and also trying to show how it can happen, how the escapism can begin from the routine in life. So it was a heavy one, but yeah, let's jump in, because also your process behind it, I thought, was just amazing.
So we have to hang out if you're comfortable talking about the poem. Like, to me, everything you said about, like, it's definitely your most vulnerable work, I feel like, and that's always exciting. Like, when you're producing something and you get something and you're just like, oh, this shit is real cool. Like, thank you. Because some people are afraid to put it out there. And, like, what I will say is you definitely succeeded in terms of, like, your goal. And, like, it is very lofty to say, like, I'm going to paint this whole picture here. And it really does feel like you start at the bottom, but by the time you end what you're saying, like, I see it's like, that's the life you want to live. Like, beautiful. So you nailed it. And what was interesting to me is, while I didn't have the same exact experience as you, there was so much of what you said that resonated so hard. And I can't think that anyone who has done any bit of true self-reflection can't find a common theme with, like, what you're talking about. Because, like, we all have numbed in some way. And the only people who would say that they haven't are the people that haven't done that work that we're talking about. Because, like, when I hear you say, what to watch, like, do this, maybe, fuck, maybe, like, what, I don't know. It's just like you're just going through your life on this, like, autopilot, and you're just running this script that you've developed, and you're not actually living life. And maybe you're numbing with alcohol, or maybe you're numbing with weed, or maybe you're numbing with anything. It doesn't really matter what it is, but it feels like it's something that we've all probably done at some point. And if you can't relate to it, maybe you just haven't been honest yet. Or I don't know, maybe some people don't go as far. I mean, I know there's levels to it for sure, but I know as I was reading it and some of the things you were describing, like, I got this feeling of, like, being in a relationship but feeling alone. And it's just like, that's something I've been there. Like, we've all been there. I don't know. It's just something about it that, despite the specificity of what you were saying, I just totally was just like, yep, I can relate to this. I can relate to that. I want that too. I want that too. I want that too. Like, it was just very personal for me as well, even if the details might not be the same.
That's really moving to hear, because that's the first time I've heard you express that. So that's really moving. I think you're right, though, about, in some ways we all numb, and that can look like distraction or escapism, or maybe that's the same thing. It could be doom scrolling. It could be eating. It could be shopping. It could be so many different things. And
overworking.
Oh yeah. That's a big one in North America, right?
Tons.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, how do we come online again? How do we come alive again? How do we pick ourselves back up when we've fallen? And it's kind of like, feels like we're behind a glass looking at your life, and it's like a fogged up glass, and you're like, how do you break the glass and, like, start really living again? And what does it look like? And what does it take to get you there? And those are all the themes that I really wanted to explore in the poem. And I feel that it has to come from a real place. Otherwise, I can't really touch anyone in a real place. Like, it did. It was like, whew, writing that poem. It's sometimes hard to look at. Like, I used used to feel very lost. I used to feel like life was happening to me. I used to feel alone in a relationship. I used to feel like I was behind a fogged up window looking at life happen. I used to feel like I was on autopilot. I mean, I come from a family that on my mom's side that drinks. Like alcohol was the answer. You know, end of a long day, glass of wine, that's the reward. We need to relax. Let's have a glass of wine. We need to talk as a family. Let's have a glass of wine. We need to have a good time. Let's have a glass. You know, it just punctuated every day or every moment. It was just what you did. And I think that was an old script too, even though there was a part of me ever since I was a kid that was like, something ain't right. And I remember as a child saying, I'm never going to drink. Ever. Ever.
Similar,
And well, that lasted up to a point. And then so interestingly, and it's not a blame game. It was just sometimes some patterns run deep. So it's interesting to find myself in similar patterns of what I witnessed growing up and turning to that. And so, it took a lot of honesty. It took a while. Like sometimes it takes hitting a certain place to go, okay, let's get real with myself. Like, it's not, I don't want to wake up bruised and worried about what I might've said or did the night before, calling my friends just to feel reassured for a minute and, you know, stay in bed watching vampire series, eating like cold pizza and getting side eye from the partner that I'm with. It doesn't really feel like I'm with someone. Like everything just felt so off.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we find ourselves again? You know,
dude. There's so much that you're saying. Well, this will be the personal episode that we get into. I think of it like you live what you learned, and that's something that now I'm 36 years old, and so like I would say that it probably was until I was maybe like in my early to mid 30s where I finally was just like, hold on, like why am I doing this? And like, isn't this just what, you know, this side of the family did or that side of the family did? And it's similar to you in the sense of like for me, am I sober right now? Yeah, I guess I am. I caffeine. I do coffee. I've had 2 cups already. Can you tell? But yeah, I have no necessarily problem drinking. Like, I got really into like whiskey really big. I love like really good whiskey, but I haven't had a drink in almost a year now. Not consciously, just kind of like, I never really liked the way alcohol made me feel actually. But I love the way like I would do like weed edibles, and I love that. And it's funny because like, I came from a family on one side that was like super, super anxious and would numb with cigarettes and alcohol and marijuana. And then another side that was like super, super anxious, but they would numb more with like food or constant television or whatever. And of course, both sides also had a lot of beautiful things that I also learned from. And I think it was more about tapping into that, like the connectiveness of family or being outside and spending more time in nature. Like they had good things too. And it was more about finding the things that were healthy and getting rid of the things that weren't. But like whenever I listened to your story, I thought about like, not that it was like all the time or every day, but I would think about the times that I would just like take an edible and just throw on Netflix and just take a pint of Ben and Jerry's and just conk out to the world. Like I can relate to that. And then like, you know, it works for a moment, but then you're just back to your regular life and you're like, what's going on? And the other thing you said that like absolutely I can feel is just like, you just look at your life and you're like, something feels off. And I remember specifically one day realizing that and like kind of going like, it's not just this or that. Like, it's not just like a relationship or a job. I was like, it's like my whole life. Like I have to really look at this. Like it's everything. And so, yeah, I think we do like come to these moments where we realize, well, I hope, I mean, unless somehow you manage to just like get it right from the jump, which some people may, but like, I think that maybe for people like us who, I don't know how you would describe it, but for me, I would say moved through the world with like maladapted coping mechanisms. That's the way I feel. It's like the world was a bit much for me and I would have different ways of dealing with that. And it wasn't until I finally began to deal with it in healthier and healthier ways that I realized, oh, I don't have to have this life that's off. I can actually make my life what I want it to be. And yeah,
it's really interesting because what you're saying reminds me of some research that I did for the book that kind of like blew my mind a little bit. I don't know if it will land in the same way with you as it did with me, but I remember doing research on alcoholism and drugs and the connection with creativity, because we have like this cultural story that alcohol and drugs fuels our creativity, makes us more creative. And I really wanted to smash that myth. And in one of the studies found that the reason we see so many, quite a few prolific genius, creatives and artists who have addiction issues is not because that fuels their creativity. It's because it numbs their sensitivity.
Yeah.
And actually what they share is a heightened sensitivity. So feeling things very deeply in life, feeling their emotions very deeply, feeling life. Yeah. And that can be overwhelming, especially if we're not given the tools to know how to cope with that in a different way. No one taught us that. It could feel like we're on our own. Like, why am I feeling everything so deeply? And I don't see other people doing that. And so sometimes numbing is sort of self-medicating in a way, whether it's kind of conscious or unconscious. And that really blew my mind. Like, no, the connection is not creativity. The connection is sensitivity.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And when I was listening to you speak, that's what it reminded me of. So we can call it maladaptive. That feels quite harsh to me. Not that I'm saying they were, helpful coping mechanisms for me or you necessarily, right? But it's sometimes we do the best with what we have.
Absolutely.
And then what we have often is what we're given from how we grew up. And then at some point we have to grow up again.
Yeah.
and make conscious choices about what kind of life we want to live. And let me just say, like, I partied pretty, I had my moments when, especially in my 20s in New York City, and I had a fucking blast. Like, I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not to demonize, like, there's a time and a place for everything, but it's about things being in balance, and it's about when it starts to be imbalanced. And when am I doing this not just to have a good time, but not to just to escape, so I don't have to like exist in this reality that I've somehow created that don't want to have anymore. So I'm just going to find the fastest way out, which often means not dealing with not having to look at what's really going on. I'm just going to have a fucking drink, or two or three or four. And so anyway, just adding that flavor into the mix of our conversation.
So much. Let's keep talking about that. Is just like, I feel like for me, I've always just been very sensitive. I've always been sensitive to like energy. Like I could go to places as a kid and just be like, I want to get out of here. Like, how are you all here? Like, it's so weird to me. And I would say that like, that sensitivity, especially if you combine that sensitivity with like early childhood traumas, which I think we probably both have a little flavor of, right? And so when you have that, and when I say the word maladapted, it's not negative in the sense of like, it worked. Like, I know for me, the first time I ever like had weed, I was actually like much older. I was like 30 by the time I had ever had an edible. And I remember when I had it, it just like relaxed me. And I was just like, oh, the world's not so bad. Wait, what? And so like I say maladapted, it was actually very helpful for me. But what I found, and even the reason why I said, am I sober right now? The reason why I asked that question and the reason why I legitimately had to think for a second is because one day, maybe not that far from now, I'll probably have a little gummy. Like, I don't care. Like, it's not bad. I don't think of it as like a negative thing. It's more like what you said, where it's just like, why are we doing it? Because there's a difference between me going, I had a hard day at work, I fought with my partner, things aren't going right, numb. That's different from, man, I had a wonderful week. All of my work is done. I enjoyed so much time with my family, and I'm about to like sit out here with a friend and smoke a Boston butt for 12 hours. Dude, I'm going to have a beer. That's fine. Like, like there's time and place, and maybe not everyone can do that, and that's fine too. I think it's more about like what's true and what's right for you, and you're only going to get to that if you can get to what you are, which I would say that by living in that perpetual state of numbness, we don't know what that is. But when you finally break that cycle like you do in Thirsty, you do know what you are. And it's not about necessarily, there's this wonderful book that talks about this called The Peaceful Warrior, by Dan Millman, I think is his name. It's a great book. I suggest it to anyone. And there's a moment where Socrates, which is like his guide, maybe it's his inner voice, maybe it's a real person, it's kind of ambiguous, but he tells him the lesson is like no drugs, no alcohol, no sex, no coffee, no sugar, no meat, no nothing. And so he like goes through this period where he drops everything. And then after several months, he walks back in and Socrates goes like, it's time for your next lesson. And he lights a cigarette and he starts to smoke a cigarette. And he's like, I thought you said, no smoking. And what he ended up going back to is he's like, I said no bad habits. And so like, it's okay if you do a little of this or a little of that, but it's more about the context that you do it in. And he went as far to then go like, if I'm going to smoke a cigarette, then I'm gonna drink 2 glasses of water and go on a 2-mile run. It's more about like the balance in your life and trusting what is good for you. And I would never tell someone don't do this or don't do that, because I've done things that were at one time helpful and at one time harmful. And it really just takes me being honest with why I'm doing it. And I don't know, maybe just going from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'm really not a fan of people telling me or other people how to live their life or what to do. I'm a fan of just do whatever you're doing consciously and to find out what's right for you. Like, I don't know what's right for you. I only know what's right for me, So if someone really enjoys drinking, this poem is not saying don't do that, right? Yeah. It's just saying this was my experience from getting lost and how I found myself again. Because what also got lost in that sauce was my creativity. Mm-hmm. And that's really what it's about. I mean, you ask what blocks our creativity, several things. One of those things can be this numbness, because we're disconnected from how we feel. How can you create when you don't know what feelings are present, when you can't feel yourself in it, right? Like it's loggerhead. So it's all kind of connected. And for me, I've been sober. I haven't had any thing to drink for 5 years.
Wow. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks. It feels really good. It was a conscious choice. Like, I'm not one of those people, kind of feast or famine kind of girl sometimes, especially with alcohol. It's just better for me not to have any. Like, whatever works for anyone else. And what's interesting is the hangover is not only physical, but there's so many memories and ideas about drinking from when I was like even a kid that creates this sense of like guilt and like not feeling good about myself. There's so much fucking baggage that comes with it. It's just not fun. And maybe someone else doesn't have all that baggage, like of history of, bad decisions made while intoxicated, looking at my mom who had drank too much in my family and seeing that as through like a small person's eyes and stuff. It's just like, ugh. So for me, it's like, it was easier to go,
beautiful.
I'm good. And that doesn't mean I would definitely try psilocybin in a controlled environment to expand my consciousness and like get closer to my creativity. But I would do it in like a controlled, like with
set
purpose.
Setting.
Set and setting. And with purpose, not just to like, if someone wants to party and go to a club, do that, but it's not that, right?
Yeah.
And so it doesn't mean, because I don't have any luggage with that. And if the purpose is there, so it's not saying, it's kind of like Socrates and the cigarette.
Absolutely.
But
exactly
it's not
like that.
But that won't look like the cigarette for me. If it's alcohol, it's not going to be present. Right. That's just my own thing. And it feels really good not to have it. Also, as you get older, body does not like alcohol in the same way.
Yeah. I noticed that even like for me, and we'll switch to the poem and to the music some too, but like I noticed like whenever, because I was never really a big drinker at all. But like I said, I got into whiskey. I would pick barrels with liquor store owners. Like it was so fun. Like I have so many great memories of going to Kentucky, going to distilleries, like so fun. And like, I'm not even saying I won't do that. Like I probably would, like, and we'll see. Like if it feels good, I'll do it. But like I noticed that like once I hit 32, 33, and I would have like a glass of whiskey, just an ounce, I'd be like, that feels different than when I was, 28, 29 or whatever. So it's funny how, it'll turn on you quick.
Yeah. Wait till you pass 40.
Okay. All right. I'll keep that in mind.
Like, so it stopped being fun. And you want to hear something cool, and then we'll get to thirsty.
Yeah.
What I discovered about myself when I stopped drinking, and this is all about feeling again, is actually, I don't really dig small talk with large groups of people for an extended period of time. Like, you know what I mean? Like lots of people, but I didn't feel it, because normally in those settings I would be drinking. And so then I could be like, woo-hoo-hoo, social, la, 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 like talking and blah, 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 like, and now without drinking, I remember I've been to a couple of like dinners or something. There's a lot of like people and small talk, and I'm like 2 hours max, and I'm out. Like I get so drained energetically, like the next day, or like, like, oh, and it's really fascinating to be like, oh, I was kind of masking in a way, or numbing to that in order to be in those environments. And those environments don't work for me. Actually, I'd much prefer like a one-on-one, or even 2 or 3 small group, maybe deeper conversations, something, or we're doing something, we're creating. It's not just, anyway, it was just, here's the summary. From here on in, for like 5 years ago, I said, I want to do things that bring me closer to myself, not further away.
Beautiful.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's what it's all about. And once you know what those things are, and once you taste that, you're not going back. No. And that's why I don't have any worry about like, if I were to say try a gummy or do some psilocybin or whatever, like I know that I'm not going back to that place, because I would never want to go back to that place. And that's the beauty of once you really are on that journey, is like, it's not to say not to make wise decisions, but I know for me, it's just like, there's no way I can go back. So anyways, say all that to say, is my microphone working okay? I'm getting some weird stuff on my end.
Yeah, you can hear sounds me? Good to me. I can hear you.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So this poem has some of my absolute favorite Pia deliveries. Oh my God. There are so many that are so good, because like we had this talk off camera, off script, where I said that we were talking about like singing along with music. And I was like, I definitely quote unquote sing along with your poems, because there's some of the deliveries that are just too good. And one of my favorite moments, and it just lined up with the music so perfectly, is break the monotony. Like the way you say that is so perfect. And another one that I love is, I hope I didn't do anything stupid. Like the way you say it. You have several in this particular poem that I'm just like, oh my God. Every time I hear it, I love it so much. But the break the monotony is one of my favorite Pia deliveries. And I hope I didn't do anything stupid. Like I think I texted you that one time. I was like, I hope I didn't do anything stupid. And I was absolutely, it's like, to me, it's like, it's like sending a meme or something. It's just like, to me, it's become a meme in my mind. But there are some of my favorite Pia voice recordings on this poem. There's probably more I'm forgetting.
That's funny to hear. It was interesting, or good to hear, because I hope I didn't do anything stupid was really how that voice sounds within. But when I heard it was almost a little cringy. Like, I hope I didn't do anything stupid. Almost like a little girly. There was like something in there that was a little childlike, right?
Yeah.
And I let it come through.
Yeah.
Even though when I hear it, I'm like, oh, okay. But it's like, no, it needs to be there. And what I love about Thirsty, and we talk about this in the last podcast episode for Where It Lives, is when I heard your first take, like the first take on the piano for Thirsty that you did, I was blown away, because it really felt inspired. It felt inspired and inspiring. Like it was like a massive musical download.
It was.
From Source, which is why I linked to the past episode, to piano, and I felt it really captured the emotion, because that's really what it was like. How do we capture the emotion? Because there's so many emotions in that poem, from melancholy,
yes,
to regret, to shame, to freedom, to liberation, to pleasure, to curiosity. You know, there's just so much in there. And I just loved how that piece that you composed traversed all of those emotional territories.
It's really funny you say that. It was definitely a musical download, and it was definitely not me, quote unquote. And I'll explain before I forget, though, really fast. You said something about how that was cringe, like the delivery you gave, and like I know when I work with people, I say I don't believe in cringe, and what I mean is it's like usually what's cringe is super genuine, and it's why it's so. We've talked about this before, like art, you love it or you hate it when it comes from that real place. And that's what, to me, cringe is a lot. And I understand what people mean when they say cringe. But like for me, I'm like, no. I want to lean into cringe because there's something there. It's like embarrassing, but it's embarrassing because it's real. And like, yeah, we can look at a video of someone and be like, oh, they're so cringe. It's like, yeah, but I think that they really believe it. I think it comes from something in them that they really believe. And for me, I may not agree with it. I may not like it, but like, I have to respect it. Like there's something about it. And so hearing you say that particular line to you was so like almost like vulnerable is what I'm hearing. And the fact that it resonates with me on such a deep level, that's got to be something.
It has to be something.
So I'm glad that you kept the line because it's one of my favorite, like, and it's weird because I would say that like that particular line, it's almost like for me, it almost like picks my ear up. Like there's something about it that makes me go, what was that? And I love it when art does that because it must come from this vulnerable place that we probably both share on a very human level. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that before we talk the music.
Yeah.
But the music was wild. And here's why. Because there's nothing like it on the album, both sonically, but also the way it happened. So I remember This happens to me once a week or two where I'll just be going about my normal life. So in this case, I think it was after dinner. So dinner had happened and I'm about to go on a walk because I like to walk after I eat. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll just almost absent-mindedly walk into my studio and put my hands down on my piano. And sometimes I'll do that and I'll just play for a sec and it's nothing. Like I just know, I'm just like, this is nothing. This is just me dicking around. Like that does happen. But 1 out of every 2 or 3 times, like something will happen enough that I will go, this could be something. And sometimes out of this could be something, maybe 1 in 5 or 1 in 10, it is something. And I remember playing just playing that first part and playing those first couple chords. It was like, really just like 2 chords and just one, it's just 3 notes over and over and over. And I recorded it with no intention of what it would be. And I remember I sent it to you that night, but because you're 6 hours ahead of me, you were asleep. And I sent it to you. I didn't think anything of it. The next day, you sent a video back and you were like, oh my God, I am so in love. I literally am like, what the fuck is Pia talking about? I genuinely had no idea what you were talking about. And I was so confused. And then I was like, I didn't send her anything. Like, what is she? And I literally had to scroll back. And then I saw what I sent you, which was the piano part for Thirsty, which I didn't pitch as Thirsty at all. I just sent the piano part. And I went back and listened to it. And I was like, oh yeah, that is kind of cool. And like, then we start talking and I'm like, could it be for Thirsty? Because Thirsty to me, having read the poem, was always like, that's going to be impossible to me. Because I was just like, that is such a beautiful thing. How the hell am I going to do that? And I guess the answer is like, I didn't, in a sense, because it just came. And then I remember thinking like, okay, if there's something to that, let me sit down and just, unlike all the other songs I recorded like demos in Pro Tools, for Thirsty, the vibe check was me putting a camera down, playing your poem from my computer, and then just sitting down and playing at the piano. And I would just, as the mood changed, like when you say break the monotony, that's when I change the chords. It breaks the monotony. And it's a very similar motif throughout. It really just alternates between a more minor feel and a more major feel. And I just go back and forth as your poem goes back and forth. And I remember I did one take and I sent it to you and you were like, I love it. And I was like, there's something to this one take thing. And so the next week I set up microphones on my piano and I was like, I'm just going to do one take and whatever it is what it's going to be. And that was the one take. And that's what it is.
And that's what it is. That's what it is. Should I read the vibe check?
Sure. I mean, I don't know that I ever read it.
Yeah. All right. Well, you'll hear it for the first time.
Please.
First time here. All right. The vibe, moving between worlds. The world of responsibility and work abruptly shifts with break the monotony, moving us into a dreamy, make-believe, rebellious, no fucks given, snorting laughter, messy, sticky, sloppy, off-balance, lost together world. The contrast between drab, sober reality versus the rainbow elation of being drunk. Wow. Then another shift when the night ends, the day breaks, and the buzz wears off. Then shame and silence, a contraction, a closing into a fetal position. Then an expansion, another big shift, a realization, no longer escaping reality, but creating a new one I want to live in. Wow.
Well, if I didn't read it, it's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember reading it. I just remember playing it. That's so wild.
Right?
And the fact that it was all just a piano and really the only real shifts were just, going from just the two different modes. And that it all really happened on one instrument. And I will share, that's wild. It definitely is what you described, but it seems like it just kind of happened. That's beautiful. I'll share a couple quick things. One is that I recorded it on my actual piano because it just felt right because everything came from that. And I haven't tuned my piano in a couple of years, which it's mostly in tune with itself. Meaning like, it's not like, it doesn't sound like incredibly like, oh, this note is super sharp and this note, it's probably like detuned slowly, but together, if that makes sense. And so what that meant was I wasn't going to be able to go back and add a bunch of instrumentation on top, because it just wouldn't be in tune with like a synthesizer or a guitar, for instance. And so what I did afterwards, because there are a couple little atmospheric things, is I recorded piano hits and then I added these effects that made them sound like they were synthesizers, so that I was able to have just some texture, but that it would remain in tune with this out of tune piano. And I don't know, there was just something about all of that, it being really organic, it being real, it being not quite right. Like, I know it's not technically a 440 in tune, but it doesn't matter. It was more about the way it felt. And there's even a moment where you said, be present for everything. When you say that, I don't know if you've noticed this or what, but you'll never not hear it. I'm sorry. But like when it does that, it goes back to the root, the home chord. It feels good. Like, it's a nice grounding thing, but I just accidentally like hit another note right before it. So it's kind of a wrong note for just a second. Like, you can hear it if you're listening for it, but it's just like, even that felt right. It's like, I'm even here for the wrong notes. And that felt good. So it's like, there's so much imperfection, and I recorded it to no metronome, and the track is constantly speeding up and slowing down, and it is so real and organic and not perfect at all. And that like made it perfect, I felt like, for the track.
Absolutely. And I think there's a beautiful poetry in that.
I think so.
On so many levels.
This was a wild one.
It really was.
I look back at it now and I'm just like, wow, that's cool to be a part of something that feels so, I don't know. It feels like, obviously it's personal, but it feels important in some way. Like, there's something about it that just so resonates with where I've felt in life before. And I know for you the same. And just the way it all kind of came out was just too perfect. You can't plan for that. So no. I'm so glad we did it. It's one of my favorite things we've ever made together.
That's true. It is. And without further ado,
Thirsty.
Let's play the track.
Thirsty
a poem for the insatiable. The alarm rings again. My chest tightens, I'm late. Cold water hits my skin, shower curtains sticking to legs, mascara applied to lashes and lids. What to wear? Choose something fast. Scoff toast, chug instant coffee, air kiss my partner on the way out to meetings and emails. Hope this finds you well. Commute home. Hurry up, will you? Return to dinner with just one glass of wine. A show? Whatever you want to watch, babe. Fuck? Maybe. Pop 2 melatonin gummies. Sleep? Maybe. Rinse and repeat in slight variations until Friday, when Aperol Spritz, Oaky Chardonnay, Crisp IPA, Gin and Tonic, Ruby Pinot, or Bourbon Sour with egg whites break the monotony. Blood fizzy, cheeks flaming, eyes glassy. We toss layers of self like peanut shells, revealing nutty centers. Things that used to matter, decorum, niceties, manners, fidelity, float like cigarettes and piss-colored beer. The world stops squatting on my shoulders. I'm so light the room spins. Dust looks like stars in the smoky haze. I'm not solid. I'm 70% water and wine. We pee together in the bathroom. When I stand up, she leans in to kiss me. Cherry print underwear still around my knees. Her sangria lipstick coloring outside my lines. Our giggles echo in the graffitied Mary Poopin stall. The steel door slams open. Our smudged lips stumble to the mahogany bar. 2 lemon drops to keep euphoria afloat, please. Relegating reality to the shore. You stay there. Lick, shoot, slam. Time lost, hours chugged, mascara smudged. Moments that stitched us together unravel in the morning sun. We pick shattered illusions out of our teeth and get cut by sharp daylight as we head home. I tiptoe into the bathroom, brush the film from my white tongue, slowly peel the sheet back, quietly, softly. Please don't wake up. Waking up to cold stares. Did you have fun last night? The clatter of plates put in the dishwasher way too early. Head throbbing and woolly, tongue thick in my mouth, keeps words gated, afraid of what might come out. Fuzzy recollections, a phone number on a matchbook, the start of a bruise. Fuck, I hope I didn't do anything stupid. Texting friends for clues, their silence, pointed fingers. I wrap myself in the comforter, hoping to disappear into vampires on screen that pull me away from anxious thoughts sticking to my lungs like tar. Guilt floods in with the relentless sun. Why can't it rain? Knots my stomach like a skilled sailor. Twist, bend, tuck, pull, tighten. Burns like that game we played as kids, snake bite. Shame setting my skin on fire, regret playing my body like sweaty Mozart at the piano. Until one day, I wake up tired of being tired. Tired of forgetting, losing, bruising, running. Done with the insatiable hunger for more. Done tearing apart what I build with famished hands, ripping it apart like a baguette. My waking life in tatters on the floor, between black lace bras and blackouts, overflowing ashtrays and crushing shame. I discover the escape hatch is a trap, a jail cell disguised as wilderness that can become a life sentence if I keep locking myself in and throwing vodka the keys. I break hard and stop. No longer waiting to get off the merry-go-round of adulting. I stay on the horse and gallop, wind gently blowing the hair out of my eyes so I can see, so I can feel and be present for and with everything. Knowing this right here is a ride I want to stay on. I want to lock lips with experience. Get licked, loved, spanked, brought to my knees, and whisked away by reality on the dance floor like a girl at prom, forever young. I want real intimacy, his hand on my knee, legs intertwined, as we read books together while the sunset in Capri candle burns and Miles Davis shows us another kind of blue in a stillness that caresses my nervous system. I want to eat an artichoke slowly, intentionally, bathe, steam purple and green leaves in Dijon vinaigrette, pluck, dip, pull, sliding its flesh down my teeth. I want to feel sweat gathering under my brow when I sway my hips, arms in the air, and belt out the wrong lyrics to a song with my feet firmly planted on the floor. I want to wake up guilt-free, eat a bowl of crispy courage to create the art that is my life, not abandon myself, break generational trauma, and choose to heal instead of hide. I want to feel it all, get high on the endless supply of everything right here, right now, when I am present for it.